Today's build is about the Commando class, and I wanted to make a build leveraging dual-wielding guns because, well, dual-wielding guns is pretty badass. So this is my Commando build for all of you players out there. Let's go. This video is brought to you by you watching this video. Please hit that subscribe button if you enjoy this video. Let's get into it. This build leverages the two-faced Cobra Wung Fu pretty much straight away. As soon as you can get this is what you should be picking up. This allows you to equip two pistols at once. A huge benefit to dual-wielding guns is that you can actually have two different perks on those guns, so it gives you a little bit of an extra edge in combat. Say if you have two different weapon effects, for example, one might increase your fire rate, one may have like cold damage and something else on it. You can really mix and match your weapons here. You could have one weapon have cold, one weapon have ice. Through ice and fire, you can destroy all of your enemies. I've also found that dual wielding pistols is a really easy way to get multiple super Wung Fus off in the same combat encounter. The Wung Fus here are very easy to chain together, especially when you pick up a couple in the melee line as well, so you can really just trigger super Wung Fu constantly and spam through combat. As a quick tip, your fire rate with pistols is slightly higher if you quick tap the fire button rather than holding it down, so it's just a good way to get yourself a little bit of extra damage in that way. Now let's break down this build, starting with breed and class. For your breed, we're going Primal or Murgle. This is just the best option for ranged characters all around because of the extra critical chance that you do get here. For your class, we are picking the Commando. However, this build does work fine with a Deadeye if you do prefer to play as a Deadeye. By starting as a Commando, you will have to find yourself two pistols before you can really leverage this build, though you can do that pretty quickly. The reason we're picking the Commando over the Deadeye is because of the Fury perk the Commando starts with. Ranged weapon attacks inflict 10% more damage to the target. You will have to buy Perfect Reload later, which is the starting perk for Deadeye. However, it is worth it just to get an extra 10% damage to your ranged attack overall. It's a better option here than the Deadeye. A lot of the Deadeye perks are based around the rifle builds, which is why I have a rifle build for the Deadeye, and we are going with the dual wielding pistols for the Commando. If you do go Deadeye, make sure you pick up Gunslinger, which is when you dual wield guns, you get an extra 20% increase to rate of fire. I haven't directly tested this as my Commando and Deadeye are at vastly different levels, but my headcanon tells me that a 10% straight damage increase is better than a slight increase to fire rate overall, especially when you can achieve that same fire rate perk via putting it on a weapon. There are base types that have increased fire rate, so you can mitigate this by putting it on a weapon, and then you still get that plus 10% increase to your straight damage overall. Now let's talk about attributes. The primary attribute is going to be luck for the crit chance. There is no direct way to increase your range damage. This is the most efficient way to increase your damage overall as a ranged character. I would also recommend to put some points into vitality for health and a couple in strength for melee damage, because with this build we will be in close range a lot more than, say, compared to a rifle build where rifles have much more range. You can keep it at longer distance. Pistols need to be much closer, so you will be taking a little bit more damage because enemies are going to be closer to you, and you can get in some cheeky melee attacks while you are in that close range as well. Now let's talk about Wung Fu, and obviously we're picking up two-faced Cobra grip so that you can just dual wield pistols as well. You will need to get Ethereal Horse and Beetlejuice in the dual wielding pistol line as well, just so you can activate your super Wufu. Whatever melee weapon you are using, you need to get the gun combo Wufu with it. That's the one where you double tap your ranged weapon and then have a melee follow-up. So if I was using a two-handed crush, it would be Tiger Throw. This is a really valuable ability to get because you are going to be regularly tapping your shoot. You will always have this ability available to you. It's a really good way to follow up and finish off enemies, specifically like if you need to target one specific enemy and finish them off. So I'm regularly using this and then flowing in Ethereal Horse and Beetlejuice. You'll get super Wung Fu very quickly, and then you can just shoot everything and clean up the combat encounter. It's very good to use, and I found that this build works really well using a lot of Wung Fus and just mixing and matching here rather than using Psi or mutations. For perks, the main perk you need to get basically as soon as you have 3 upgrade points is Perfect Reload, so that your ranged weapons can instantly reload and you get 20% extra damage in that next clip. This is a key perk you have to get if you're starting off as Commando as soon as possible. It means you don't have any reload time, it gives you extra damage, it's arguably a extremely strong perk. You should be picking this up as soon as you can. We are also getting Gunsmith so that your range attacks do extra damage, Trigger Tech so that you have a lower reload time, though it is less important. I would pick this one up last, and Clip Tech so ranged weapons can fire 25% more shots before needing to reload. Combos really well with perfect reload because you get extra damage in your next magazine. For your class perks, there isn't really much you need to worry about. Really, you get Fury as a commando to start off with. You need to pick up Brutality, so critical damage from ranged attacks is increased by a flat 10% as soon as you do have the points and the level requirement to get it. You do need to pick that up, but otherwise they're not that important. You can mix and match with perks and pick up other perks that do different things as well. You know, one of the benefits of this build is that it is so specific in using dual wielding pistols. You have a lot of freedom in your perks to pick up other perks, like things that just increase your loot chance or your mount speed, for example. And it also relates to Psi and mutations, which is what we're going to talk about next, in that you don't really need any here. Because this build just uses your dual wielding pistols and Super Wung Fu, you can play around freely with Psi and mutations as you see fit, or just completely ignore them if you don't enjoy using them. A difference from this build to my rifle build is that rifle uses levitate to rain death on enemies, but with pistols you do need to be in close range, so there isn't really a benefit to staying a fair distance away in the air and actually shooting enemies, as you'll miss a lot of the time. So being in that close range is important. Something that I did find gives you a little bit of value is freeze, because you will be in close range, often surrounded by enemies. When you pop freeze, it will slow the enemies around you, and it can help you get out of sticky situations if you are surrounded completely by enemies. But otherwise, really just play around with what you like, and if you don't like them, then just skip over them. Weapons and gear. For your armor, you want to focus on crit chance and health in your gear, and avoid gear that buffs your energy regen or your key energy, as it's not relevant for this build. Don't forget to put add-ons on your gear either. A really good tip here is to find a piece of gear that has the perfect secondary stats, so something that increases your crit chance and your health, even if the armor value is low, because if it has add-on slots, you can then increase that armor value so it's actually a valuable piece of gear. There is a lot of good add-ons for armor that will drastically increase the armor value. So armor value on the gear isn't as important as having that good secondary stats, as you can increase the armor later. Weapon-wise, anything in the pistol category that interests you is what you should be looking at. I've been rocking a pistol that does extra damage at range and one that has increased fire rate. Really check vendors often for better base types, and always upgrade your mods when you do find better mods. That is really where a lot of the value and your damage comes from, is the mods you have on your gear. And some final commando tips: you can instantly reload, separate to perfect reload, instantly reload your clip when you trigger Super Wung Fu. So if you are running low on ammo, trigger Super Wung Fu and you're golden. I will often use all of the bullets in my clip, or at least have one left, then trigger Super Wung Fu. You instantly get another clip. You can just dive around in that max pain mode and sling bullets at enemies. You should also try and match your weapon elements. So if you have a melee and a ranged weapon that are both having electric elements on them, enemies will be electrocuted much more regularly. Same if you've got cold or fire. You want to try and match those elements so you're constantly doing the same element, though you can mix and match here if you want to try and trigger as many elements as you want. But if you are focusing specifically on one element, it will trigger more often, so you'll see the benefits of that element more often. If you're looking for more Biomutant builds, check out my Deadeye build, which is similar to this, except with ranged weapons, and it's highly broken. It's probably the most broken build that I've played with in the game so far. I'm also working on other builds. I'm working on a Psi Freak as well as an unarmed monk, so keep an eye on the channel for those. Please follow me on Twitter, Instagram, and on Twitch, where I stream 2 days a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays, Australian night times. Hope to see you guys there in the next stream. Thank you for watching this video. My name is Norza, and I hope you have a great day.